Hello and welcome to another Escape from Tarkov video. In this video we're going to be discussing weapon parts. Now with the new find and raid mechanic, weapon parts are some of the most expensive and lucrative things to pick up in raid, and I'm going to be showing you exactly which ones you should look out for. Now all of these weapon parts that I've picked out are over 30,000 rubles in one slot value. So for example, if it's a scope that takes up 2 slots, it's got to be worth 60,000 for me to deem it worthy picking up. It's just a good way to weed out, you know, a lot of the trash stuff that could be worth, you know, 30 grand, but it's not actually worth that much money on the flea market. The Fortis Shift Grip is massively expensive because it's required for the Mechanics quest line, and then you have the M-Locks. The M-Locks are really expensive because they're also required for the Mechanics quest line. I think all of the M-Locks are around the 85,000 range. They're expensive things. Then you've got the Bulltech Flash Hiders. Now I'm not sure why these are worth that money, but they are. And then you've got some of the CAC ones, which are used for the M4 silencers. Again, small M-Locks. Anything that's an M-Lock, pick that up. You've got the Daniel Defense ones that I think they're used to put a flash hider on as well. I could be wrong about that. Any RK pistol grip, just pick that up. That's money right there. An RK one, Zenit RK pistol grip, including... No, these are the foregrips, that's what I meant. The RK pistol grip is expensive as well, though that's on screen now. I'm going to put a link to all of these ones in like an image that you can just click on below my link. It's going to be a massive album, so you can just scroll through and keep an eye on exactly what parts you can pick up in raid. Again, if you find any M-Lock foregrips, just pick them up. Like 87,000 one slot value is ridiculous. Now, the flashlights, they're a bit hit and miss, but 35 grand's not bad. And then you've got small Daniel Defense muzzle brakes. Now that one I believe is for the M1A, and I'm not sure how they're getting them found in raid. It might be like a, you know, you find them in boxes and whatnot, but it should really up the value of boxes. The Remnant Tractile Choke is massively expensive, and it is selling. Now this has been a painful video to make because I know I've walked past like hundreds of these, like literally thousands. I must have missed out on millions of rubles just by running past these because I didn't know how much they were worth at the time. You know, back when it was non-found in raid, these were cheap as chips because people would buy them on the marketplace and just resell them, but now that you've got to actually survive with them, the prices of them are astronomical. The PWS compensator is fantastic for the AK-74, so no wonder that's expensive. Silencers are generally good money. Even if you don't use them in raid yourself, picking them up is always good. But again, single slot value of 28,000 for just a muzzle brake is ridiculous. Especially some of the thread adapters for silencers, where someone's maybe picked a silencer up in raid, can't use it, and is going to spend like 30,000–40,000 just to put that silencer on a gun. Doesn't make much sense to me, but people are buying them. The Bramits are ridiculously expensive as well, the silencers for the Mosins. Overall, I think I like the new found and raid mechanic. I think it's a bit difficult, especially when it's like things like USB drives, for example. You know, one-off items that you find for quests that you can't really buy anyway. I think that's a bit of pain to have to survive with and not be able to put it in a secure container. But I think overall, the found and raid mechanic just really rewards surviving your raids and switches it from get in there, kill as many PMCs as possible and get out with the loot, to get in there, find something decent and make sure you survive to be able to sell it on the flea market. For some reason, like the 2-inch, 4-inch guides from MacLeod are ridiculously expensive. And also the PK06 has a massive sell base price. It's like 36 grand to buy from the vendor, so that's going to retain its value. I think the general rule of thumb is concerning weapon parts is if it's used for a quest or it's commonly used in meta builds, it's going to be massively expensive. And the reason is because you see level 10 people rolling around with full meta build guns that they've had from last wipe, where they've just got the preset, and they click build preset, it goes to the flea market, and you know, they just don't care how much it costs. If it's a 400,000 ruble gun, they build the 400,000 ruble gun. That's why some of these things are ridiculously expensive, because the supply doesn't meet the demand with the found and raid mechanic. I did include some of the night vision scopes and whatnot because the night vision scopes themselves, not the scope but the actual, you know, the goggles, they have been spawning in place of where BSG took out the thermal scopes, so you can get them in their place alongside the mounts, and the mounts sell for quite a bit. Another one that surprised me was magazines. FN57 pistol magazines going for 50,000 rubles just because people can't buy them until level 3 Peacekeeper. It's just insane. If you've got a level 3 pistol, if you've got a level 3 FN57 found in raid mag, you can get 50 grand for it now. How insane is that? Something that's like, you know, 100, you know, maybe $50 from Peacekeeper going on the market for 100 times that value. Anything to do with the 34mm Night Force scope is worth good money, because it's an early Peacekeeper, it's an early mechanic quest line for gunsmithing that people want to do so they can get that extra XP from it. So you can make, if you found the Night Force scope and a mount, you can make around 400,000 rubles in 4 slots. That's like 4 bitcoins. One of the things I did find surprising is the mount for the thermal scopes. You know, the one for the Reap IR. That wasn't that expensive. And I think it's because it's too early on in Peacekeeper to be able to buy, you know what I mean? Like, you can buy it too soon. That should be moved back to like 3 or 4 Peacekeeper. So the Found and Raid ones become really expensive. Because the thermal itself is a 600,000 ruble scope. And the block you put it on is like 20 grand, you know? It doesn't make sense to me. I think they should make that a little rarer just so, you know, it's a nice bonus for people who find the little block to put it on, rather than not being able to find the scope, you know, just like a consolation prize. The candid site for the Peacekeeper one as well is like 40 grand, 1 slot value. It's fantastic. I honestly think this new Found and Raid mechanic makes the, you know, the 3-story garage buildings on reserve that are close to the train yard. You've got that left hand side one that's got the 3 stories, and on the roof is all of those loose weapon spawns. And you drop down and there's loose weapon spawns in the corridor at the back. I think that room's probably worth so much money right now. I wouldn't be surprised if you could go in there and come out with 500 grand in loot within seconds. It wouldn't surprise me. I think the biggest surprise for me was the 2-inch guides and things like that. You know what I mean? 1 slot items going for 40 to 75,000 rubles. Simply because of them being found in raid. Also, the B11 for the AK-74U, that's like a 30-40 grand part now. And how many times do you spawn in as a scav with a B11? Every time you spawn in from a scav now on, and that scav has an AK-74U with a B11, just go to extract. You've already made enough money on that scav, you know what I mean? And the weird thing is, a lot of these parts that sell for so much money can be obtained through barters. And most of them are mechanic required items for gunsmith. Like, I myself am stupid at this. I went and did the M870 quest and spent upwards of 300 grand on parts for a buttstock and a foregrip, which I could have done the barter for less than 100 grand rubles, but I just did it because I couldn't be bothered to go and search where to buy it from. You know, it was the end of the day, I wanted some more XP, and I just went in, bought the items. So these things do sell, even if there's an alternative that you can easily afford with a barter trade. Don't be afraid to list them for what they're going for on the flea market. I think the biggest 3 to look out for though is anything to do with the Night Force scope, the skeletonized handguard for the AR-15 platform, and any of the Magpul handguards. I think those 3 are fantastic money makers, and I would not run past them. What I'll do is I'll drop all of these screenshots into a link down below in the comments. That way you can easily come back to this video, click on that link, and just keep refreshing yourself about what you need to keep an eye out for in raid. But that's pretty much going to be it for this video. I just wanted to put out a quick video that showcased all of the good loot that you can find in boxes and green crates and all of those things you might be running past because you think they're no longer worth money. Because last batch they weren't. Last patch these were like 5 to 12,000 ruble items if you're lucky. But now I think these are going to hold their value for at least a couple of months. Until everyone's endgame and people are still doing mechanics quest line, these item parts are going to be worth a lot of money. And I just wanted to make sure that people knew about that, because I didn't. You know, I found a weapon part last night and I was like, that's expensive, I wonder what else is expensive. And I went through each part on the flea market and I was very surprised by the results. I wonder how this works with finding raid mechanics actually, because if you take out a scav guard or a scav, usually their weapons are found in raid, or at least class as found in raid. So if you were to take out Scavbox and get all of his like attachments on his guns, you know, maybe his Rashala or Gluhar, would all of those attachments be worth more than the guns themselves originally? It might go back to the meta where people, you know, were in like labs and they just, you know, control click all of the attachments off the guns rather than taking the guns themselves. It might become that meta again. But that's it for this video. I hope this helps you make some money in your raids. I know I was running past a load of money and I regret that now. So I hope you've enjoyed this video and I'll see you next time.